Hello everyone, and today we're going to be having a look at the Dragonmaid deck that we used on stream recently that actually very pleasantly surprised me with its performance. We were streaming, playing just free ranked, testing out a couple of different fun decks, and this is one that we probably spent the most time on because it did surprisingly well. It went from Platinum 3 all the way up to Platinum 1 without any real difficulty, to be perfectly honest. Now, we didn't face loads of meta-based strategies, we faced a couple. But I mean, this far into the season, most of those types of strategies are now in Diamond, so it's not as if we were beating the best of the best, but I mean, it was certainly performing. I think you can definitely get to Diamond using this deck. Whether you can get through Diamond using it is another thing that's yet to be tested, but you can definitely get there using it. So what is the deck actually trying to do? Well, it's trying to set up a Hieratic Seal and a DPE on its first turn, and it can do that pretty consistently. It has a vast variety of different combo routes and how to get there. I can't tell you like one thing of like this is what you want. Basically, with any combination of Dragonmaid cards, so long as you can generally get Tidying into the graveyard, you can get Hospitality into the hand, that type of thing. If you can meet even just a couple of those, having a couple of the Dragonmaids in hand, generally speaking, you will be doing very, very well. Black Metal Dragon, of course, brings a lot of consistency. Noctovision Dragon does the same. So we'll be going over the actual full deck list at the end, once you've had a chance to actually see the cards in action in the gameplay, because that's going to help contextualize sort of what they're doing an awful lot more and sort of why you're doing certain things. It'll make a lot more sense when I explain it after you've seen it. So we'll get into that towards the end. So if you like what you're seeing, you want to see anything more like this or have any suggestions, feel free to subscribe. And again, if you want to catch us live when we're doing these types of things, you can always jump into the Discord and keep an eye out for the alerts. I always send out alerts in Discord whenever we're going to stream. You can hop in live, get chatting, and we can get building. There was actually a member in the Discord, a Dragonmaid main user, who built the sort of deck you're seeing, well, mostly built the deck you're seeing, barring one or two little changes. And sort of throughout the stream, you'll notice me talking to someone through the whole stream. He was sort of like guiding me in how to use the deck an awful lot. Very, very educational. So if you want to get in and learn from people as well, apart from just like a video, actually get chatting with people either via text, via voice call, whatever it is that suits you best, you can also do that in the Discord. So feel free to jump in if you're looking for some help. And that being said, let's get into game number one. Alright, getting into game number one, we're going second here, and as far as this deck goes, this is a very solid hand. Now, our opponent just goes straight in the DP off the bat here, steadying 3 and passing, so initially I thought this might be some sort of Eldritch player. Now, in the draw phase, our opponent actually goes and pops 2 of his face downs, which happen to be Artifact Lancia and Artifact South. So he's completely locked us out of our extra deck for this turn, and Lancia can tribute itself at any point to stop us from being able to banish cards, which of course is going to interfere with a couple of key strategies. So he's going to preemptively get on that. He's basically locked us out of using our extra deck and locked us out of banishing for this turn, which does slow us down quite a lot. We're going to summon our Chamber Dragonmaid just to get searching for a card. It gets hit with Fogblade. And again, there's not very much we can do about that, so this is a very, very dicey opening for the deck. So it is. We're going to set 2, we're going to pass, DP is going to get destroyed during the end phase, and then it's going to resummon itself. So Tidying offers a very unique opportunity in dealing with the DPE. He goes to activate it here to pop 2, then we're going to chain Tidying, returning the Dragonmaid to the hand as well as DPE to the extra deck. So that gets bounced back. That really does nullify the threat of DPE. We do lose our cross out, but what are you going to do? He's going to play the remaining cards in his hand just to draw 2, plays one of them face down and passes back to us, and we're in complete control here. We summon the Chambermaid yet again. Chamber is going to get hit with a Forbidden Droplet, which again, that's fine. We already have the Hospitality in hand, so him using the Droplet there honestly suits us. It's actually beneficial for us that he's used that there. Hospitality then is going to, would have summoned the Parlor from the hand, but we get ashed as well. But luckily we have Cross-Out Designator. We're not going to allow that ash to go through, because the Hospitality is basically going to set up our full combo by itself. So we're going to banish an ash from the deck to get negating. Hospitality summons Parlor from hand and sends Lore Power from deck to graveyard. Parlors then can ascend Changeover to the graveyard. Changeover will bounce Dragonmaid, the Chambermaid back to hand to return it to hand. Tidying will special summon Lore Power from the graveyard. That means with our Changeover, we're able to fuse the Chamber and Lore Power into Xiao. And yeah, basically it would have given us a negate. Our opponent didn't have any cards left really, so they wouldn't have been able to do much, and that's game. Not a lot of these games actually reach a solid conclusion because people are just too eager to surrender whenever they know they're going to lose, which I get it, it saves you time, whatever. But you're going to notice a lot of sort of sudden cuts like this. But yeah, very clean, easy game, even though at the very beginning they did sort of catch us out with that strong setup initially they had, but we had the tools in which to counter it and break it down. So let's get into game number 2. Alrighty, getting into game number 2, we've got a really solid hand here. Anytime you see something like Chamber and Noctovision, you're loving life. We summon Chamber to grab Hospitality. We're going to link summon into the Striker Dragon, which will allow Noctovision Dragon to come out to the field as well. Our opponent's going to summon their Wandering Griffin Rider. Why they did that is a little bit beyond me, but whatever. We're going to use these two to go into Romulus. Romulus is going to search our deck for Dragons, Ravine. Noctovision Dragon's going to let us draw an extra card. We draw into Max C. Fantastic draw. Dragon's Ravine is going to allow us to discard a card to send a monster from deck to graveyard, so we're going to discard the Nurse to send Parlor. Then using Hospitality, we're going to resummon the Nurse from the graveyard and send Ernest to the grave. Nurse is going to resummon the Parlor that we just sent. It means we don't need to use the Tidying. We can send a second Tidying to the graveyard to then resurrect. We're going to link summon into both Pisty and Striker Dragon. Then, because they both point to one zone, we're going to resummon a monster to that zone. We actually make a small misplay here, but we correct it. So we summon Hieratic Seals here by accident. And again, if you caught that live in the stream, it was pretty funny. We're going to use these two then to summon the Verte Anaconda. Luckily, it doesn't cause any massive disruption because we had the Tidying, but we had to waste an additional card. It is what it is, and then we summon this to the correct zone. So why was that a big deal? This guy's effect only takes place if he's in the extra monster zone. I didn't read that at the time, so I had messed it up, but we corrected ourselves. It cost us the Tidying, but we fixed it. Verte Anaconda, of course, then paying 2,000 to summon out the DPE. So effectively here we have 3 big interruptions. We have the DPE, we have the Hieratic Seal, and we have the Tidying, because the Hieratic Seal is going to tribute itself to bounce something, and then it's going to summon a monster from the deck. The monster that we summon is more than likely going to be a Dragonmaid, and then we can use Tidying then to return that Dragonmaid back to our hand to bounce one of their cards as well. So DP comes on back after getting rid of their Griffin Rider. He's going to go for the Rite of Aramis here. We're going to chain Max C again, that +1 off the Noctovision Dragon really working out for us here because we're getting that Max C. He's going to go into the token here. He's playing Phantom Knights. He's playing Adventure Phantom Knights, so he draws into his Draco back, summons out Boots, and then link summons into Cherubini. Now, before Cherubini can use its effect, we're going to trigger Hieratic Seal to bounce it back to the extra deck. We don't need him sending 2 cards to grave. And then we're going to summon Chamber back from the deck. He goes to hit us with a Droplet here. Now, preemptively, we're going to use Tidying to bounce the Droplet, to bounce the Chamber and the token, basically, to destroy the token. So yes, our DP still gets negated here for the turn, but that's fine. It has nothing worth destroying left. There's nothing basically he can play. He grabs an Enchantress to discard, and then for follow-up on the next turn, he's expecting to get another turn here, basically. He banishes it to grab another Rite of Aramis here. He can't use it, of course, he's already used one this turn. The Phantom Knights are going to activate in the graveyard here. Luckily, we've had Max C live this whole time, so we've been drawing cards. He summons out Torn Scales. We were really running low on the timer here, so I didn't even read the card he was going to use. We just ashed it at first sight, and it turned out it worked out really well for us. So that's fine, we get that negated. Torn Scales is going to discard 1 to send the Fogblade to the graveyard. Fogblade then banishing itself to summon Boots back out to the field. He's going to Exceed Summon into Phantom Knights the Break Sword here. And again, let's look at our hand, bigger and bigger every single time he draws a card. He pops Dragon's Ravine for some reason. I guess DP is not a threat to him this turn. He's going to summon out 2 more Phantom Knights to go into Raider's Knight here as level 4s. Raider's Knight then going to detach a material to rank itself up into the Arc Rebellion Exceed Dragon. Luckily for us, it can only go up to 6,000 attack. I say only as if that's a small number. He's also going to banish his Boots here for the Fogblade. He's going to swing into Verte Anaconda. He's going to leave us with 250 life points remaining. We're barely hanging in here, but now our DPE is live again. We know what that back row card is. We don't want it messing about with our plans, so we're going to preemptively force him to use the Fogblade. Now that that's used and gone, we don't need to worry about it happening again. Now we can use our hospitality to jump into our actual plays. We're going to revive Nurse. Nurse is going to revive Parlor. Parlor then is going to send to the graveyard the Tin Heck. We actually had already drawn all of our Tidings, so we had nothing else really to send. After summoning the Chamber Dragonmaid, our opponent knows exactly what's coming next. We're going into another seals, we're going into basically whatever plays we want to, and he recognized it. Our plan here was actually to go into IP Masquerena, and then we were going to use IP and something else, potentially a seals, to go into Avramax, Crusadeum Avramax. Basically a swing into the Arc Rebellion Dragon, gain 6,000 attack points, beat it for 3k, and then just start swinging. So we had some fun plays laid up there, but unfortunately our opponent had seen more than enough to know they were going to lose, so they scoop it up and hand the win to us. So let's get into game number 3. Alright, and game 3. Now this was actually this was the first game that we were playing with the deck. I wanted to include it because we drew into both Destiny Heroes. It's a pretty bad hand, but we did have 1 for 1. 1 for 1 then basically saves the hand because you can grab the Black Metal Dragon from deck. When you summon it, Black Metal Dragon goes into Striker Dragon. When that's done, you add the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon to hand. You can then banish the Striker Dragon to summon the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, which will revive the Noctovision from the graveyard. Link summon into Predaplant Verte Anaconda. Noctovision is going to let you draw a card, so we draw into Parlor. We're going to summon Parlor here to send Tiding to the graveyard just for some follow-up on the next turn. Set Imperm face down and Fusion summon into DPE. So that's a pretty solid recovery off of a really bad hand. And that's why I wanted to include it, to show that there's other routes. I wanted to show 1 for 1 in the Black Metal Dragon and stuff. So he's going to special summon out the Z Admin. We're going to negate that right off the bat. We don't need him searching for any additional cards. It's going to go into Hulk. Hulk's going to summon Jet Synchron from the deck. We're going to pop our Predaplant and his Hulk to stop him from going into the Auroradon. And our DP gets destroyed at the end of the turn, of course, because of Fusion Destiny, but our opponent has Call by the Grave, so it's not going to be that easy. Our opponent still has plays. They get rid of our DP, unfortunately. So let's see what we draw into here. We draw into a Kitchen Dragonmaid, which is really good. We can special summon this to the field thanks to the effect of Dasher. It does get ashed, which I really don't mind, because that means that he can't use that ash on something else. The Kitchen Dragonmaid wasn't going to be supremely useful in that regard, its effect at least. Using Celestial, we're going to banish it and Dasher to draw 2. We're going to link summon into the Hieratic Seals of the Heavenly Spheres. Tiding then is going to be able to resummon from our graveyard the Parlor, whose effect we can use again this turn to send Changeover to the grave. We have the Lore Power in hand already. We return Changeover, we return Parlor. We were going to fuse into Xiao. We would have had an Omni Negate and a bounce, and the bounce would have then triggered an additional summon. And bang, would have been pretty crazy. Again, our opponent scoops it up before we can actually do the cool bits, which is happening a lot, and I can't get any decent games without it happening. But yes, those are 3 of the games from the stream here. If you want to see them actually live, the VOD for that stream is going to be going live, I believe, the day before this video, I want to say. But if you were just sort of wanted to see the Dragonmaids, this is some sort of like key cuts and stuff from that. So let's get into the actual deck profile. All right, into the deck profile, and we're going to start off by doing what we always do, removing the fluff. So what have we got in terms of hand traps, interruptions and such? We've got double Maxi, we've got double Ash Blossom, we've got double Call by the Grave, double Crossout Designator, and triple Infinite Impermanence, and that's it. So basically there's 11 hand traps or hand trap slots you can play around with, do whatever you want. You want to put in some Droplet, you want to put in some Lightning Storm, you can do whatever you want with those 11 slots. That's just what we were playing. So this is then the actual deck itself. So Dragonmaids, what do the Dragonmaids themselves do? So you've got your 3 small Dragonmaids and you've got your 3 bigger ones in your main deck. Chamber Dragonmaid, on summon, will grab a Dragonmaid spell or trap card. It's going to be either your Hospitality, your Changeover, or your Tidying, which we'll get to in a second. Search it from deck to hand. Parlor Dragonmaid will send a Dragonmaid card from your deck to the graveyard, and that's Dragonmaid card. It can be a monster or a spell or trap. So you've got some variety there. Typically it will be sending your Tidying, but again we'll get to that in a second. So Parlor will send from deck to graveyard. And Kitchen will search a Dragonmaid monster from your deck to your hand, but then you have to send a Dragonmaid monster from your hand to the graveyard afterwards. So do bear that in mind. Kitchen is definitely the weakest of the three. It's not super necessary, but it is pretty handy sometimes for getting out your bigger dragons, just for your fusion summoning. So the bigger dragons themselves, what do? These two, just think of them as vanilla level 7 or higher dragons. That's pretty much it. They're mainly here for fusion material for the Xiao. They do actually have effects. So for example, you can discard lower power to make one of your face-up monsters untargetable. And Tin Heck then can boost up one of your Dragonmaids by 2k. So situational effects that are pretty okay. Ernest is more important of them, which can special summon a level 4 lower Dragonmaid from your hand. So Ernest is like a kind of sort of extender. It's not a very good extender because it's, you know, not great for card advantage, but an extender nonetheless. So that's the way these guys work. So the Dragonmaids themselves are relatively straightforward. It's deck to hand, deck to graveyard, monster to hand, and then discard one. And then we also have Nurse. Sorry, I almost skipped over Nurse, which is ironically probably the most powerful of them. We only play one because you can get it off of seals, but basically when when Nurse is summoned, you will resurrect another one of your Dragonmaids from the graveyard, level 4 or lower. So you'll resurrect your parlor or kitchen chamber, whichever one you've got handy. You'll typically get Nurse off of the Heretic Seals, which again we will get to in a moment, but that's your Dragonmaids. What are the Dragonmaid spells and traps? Hospitality is one of the strongest starters in the deck, because you'll special summon a Dragonmaid from your hand or your graveyard, and then you will send a Dragonmaid monster with the same attribute but a different level from your deck to the graveyard. So basically that's one of these guys. So if you summon, you'll summon one of these guys hopefully, right? If you summon Kitchen, you send the Kitchen Dragon. If you summon Parlor, you send Lord Par. If you summon Nurse, you send Ernest to the graveyard. So that means you're getting a lot of advantage. You don't get to send anything unfortunately if you summon Chamber, but again it's still a decent extension. So Hospitality, very very strong in terms of an additional extender, because you do want to be able to summon monsters onto your board for your main combo. You have Tidying, which has 2 effects. You can return if it's set, you can activate it to return a Dragonmaid on your field and a dragon in your field and a card in your opponent's field, each back to the hand. Very good for removal, especially against the likes of DPE, which will otherwise resist being destroyed. And its second effect, which you'll use more often, is when it's in the graveyard, you can banish it to special summon a Dragonmaid monster from your hand or graveyard. So that's where you're going to be getting your Maid, your Parlor, your Nurse, where you're going to be cycling their effects all the time, and it's a very key extender for going into your main combo. And lastly is Changeover. So Changeover is your fusion spell to summon a Xiao. When this card's in the graveyard, you can return a Dragonmaid from your field to the hand to return it from the graveyard to the hand. So you can send it off Parlor, then return the Parlor to return the Changeover. If you have a big enough dragon in your hand, you can just do a fusion summon right off of that. So very versatile card, very easy to recycle, very powerful because it summons out your Xiao, which is sort of your big boss monster. But yeah, very strong nonetheless. Now, what are we playing around this to make it work more consistently? We're playing the Black Metal Dragon and the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. Your Black Metal Dragon is your strongest normal summon. Whenever this guy is sent to the graveyard, you will be able to search for your Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, and your Darkness Metal Dragon then can banish a dragon on the field to summon itself, and then once per turn it can revive either from the graveyard or from the hand another dragon. So this guy can also be summoned off of 1-for-1. That's the only reason we're playing 1-for-1, to summon the Black Metal Dragon. It's that strong. But it's not a card you want to be seeing a lot of because it can only search the one target. So I think 1-for-1 and the 1 Black Metal Dragon is more than enough. So you'll summon the Black Metal Dragon, link summon in the Striker Dragon, banish the Striker Dragon to summon the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. Then using your Darkness Metal Dragon, if you have to, you'll revive the Black Metal Dragon, but ideally you'll have one of your Dragonmaids available to then special summon and get their effects. So that's why he's there. Fantastic normal summon for the deck. We then have Noctovision Dragon. So whenever you special summon one of your Dark Dragon monsters, Noctovision Dragon will special summon itself to the field. So if you link summon in the Striker Dragon, this guy comes out right away. which makes him super easily accessible. Also, if he's used in a link summon, you get to draw an additional card. Very solid for card advantage, consistency, keeps your hand size up, and really good. He's, again, this guy alongside any of your main Dragonmaids or even your Black Metal Dragon is usually an indicator of you're getting the full combo. We of course have the DPE engine for your Predaplant Verte Anaconda to get DPE out, so your 2 Fusion Destiny Dasher and your Celestial. And last of the necessary combo pieces is going to be Dragon Ravine. So you'll discard a card to send a dragon monster from your deck to the graveyard. And there's a lot of valuable targets in your hand that you actually want to have in the grave. For example, your Tidying, your Changeover is useful in the grave, your big dragons aren't really all that great in the hand, and you can generate a lot of advantage from the grave as well because you're constantly summoning from there, using your Tidying, using your Hospitality, using your Red Eyes Dark Metal Dragon. So sending something to the graveyard is usually extremely beneficial. So that's the main deck, that's generally how it works. Now what are you actually summoning? You're summoning DPE and Seals as your primary combo, but you have plenty of backup options just in case. So DPE, everyone knows what it does. Pop a card you control, pop a card your opponent controls, and infinite recursion. I'm not going to go into detail on him. Hieratic Seals of the Heavenly Spheres. If this guy's in the extra monster zone, then you'll notice if you pet against Nikki in 2, well, why that's important. You can tribute 1 card in your field, usually himself, to bounce one of your opponent's monsters back to the hand, which really strong spot removal. Also, whenever this guy is tributed, you can summon a dragon monster from your deck, but its attack and defense is reduced to 0. Normally, you're going to be summoning out your Nurse. Nurse then is going to revive another Dragonmaid from the graveyard, and it's going to set you up really strong for next turn. You can also, there's also a couple of other like decent options you can summon off of the Hieratic Seals. Like you could summon the Amorphage Goliath and stuff like that. But we want to keep it at least relatively pure for now, because some of those cards are big bricks too. You don't really want to be bricking on them. So keep it simple, keep it pure, but you guys can feel free to experiment around with that particular effect. So those are your main ones. Another main boss monster is going to be your Dragonmaid Shio. Shio is going to be fusion summoned off of your Changeover, and it is basically an Omni Negate. So whenever your opponent activates anything, you can return Shio to the extra deck to summon a House Dragonmaid, and in doing so you will negate that activated effect. They each also have secondary effects, so during a standby phase you can special summon a level 9 or lower Dragonmaid from your hand or graveyard. Now that's each player's standby phase, so you'll summon this on your turn. During your opponent's standby phase, you'll special summon a Dragonmaid from the graveyard. So at the very least, Shio is going to be almost replacing itself for card advantage, at least. And the House Dragonmaid is a little bit stronger for OTKs, and it's not its effect you don't see it an awful lot, but you can, every time a Dragonmaid is returned to your hand from the field, you get the pop card. So that's really strong. And then during the standby phase, you can special summon a Dragonmaid monster from your hand or graveyard who's 1 level higher or lower than one you control. So if you, for example, have Shio in the graveyard somehow, House Dragonmaid can resummon it. Or actually, no, you can't do that. Apologies. Edit that out. No, so if you have the likes of the parlor or the kitchen in the graveyard, you can summon Chamber. If you have Chamber, you can summon parlor or kitchen. If you have one of these two, you can also summon Nurse because it's level 2. Basically, allows a lot of recursion. Pretty straightforward cards. Pisty and Striker Dragon are necessary for your main combo because Pisty, if 2 of your link monsters point to 1 zone, then you can special summon a dragon from your graveyard or banished pile to that zone. So he's part of your main combo. All you need is a level 4 or lower dragon to summon him. Striker Dragon, again, is going to be key there because you want Pisty and Striker Dragon pointing to 1 zone between them, underneath the likes of Romulus. Like, again, game 2 was a perfect demonstration of that. Seals, we've already talked about. Romulus is purely to search for Ravine. IP Masquerena is here in combination with Mekk-Knight Crusadia Avramax. Basically, if you use IP to summon Mekk-Knight Crusadia Avramax, your Avramax becomes untargetable, it is indestructible, and it gains the attack of anything it battles, any special summon monster it battles. And if they do, against all odds, manage to remove it, it spins one of your opponent's cards back into the deck. So really strong removal. Predaplant Bird Anaconda because it's necessary for DPE, and lastly Apollosa, just as a fill-in link monster that you will on occasion go into. It's not super core, this can be whatever you want really if you want to play Access Code Talker instead, but Apollosa is kind of strong. So that's the deck. If you want to get this will take a bit of practice to get. It took me a bit of practice on stream. If you want to see that, don't be afraid to jump on to Twitch or to jump back into the previous VOD to watch the gameplay and sort of like the learning curve, us learning live, chatting about it, talking about it, and seeing the suggestions in chat from the people who knew what they were talking about and sort of like who were coaching me on the deck. So I'm just passing on to you what they passed on to me. So there you go. If you want to chat with the experts themselves, you've got the Discord, and you can also watch the Twitch VOD. So that's pretty much everything I have to say here. I've been rambling on here for more than long enough, so I'll free you up for the rest of your day. If you like what you're seeing and you want to see more, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.